Hello, hello, hola, hola, and welcome back to Muse. I'm your host, Damaris, artist and multi-passionate creator. And if you've been listening for a little bit, you are probably noticing that my intro is different and that things are changing. Once again, I think I've changed the intro each month to the podcast, and reason being is evolving. I'm learning, I'm evolving, I'm changing, and this is another month. And this past week I have felt quite a huge shift for me. I don't know, is anyone else feeling this? Am I alone in this change that's happening? But this shift has been huge for me into kind of one overarching theme. This shift has been kind of tugging at me for a little bit, and I think this past week it really just catapulted to right in my face. I need to make a change now. It's mainly about how I'm showing up, not just in my life, in my relationships, on this podcast, and even on social media, just how I show up in general. And with that comes, obviously, facing the areas that I struggle with. And in this case, it has to do with how I record and script my podcast, and even a little bit of how I show up on social media. So mainly my struggle that I've come to understand about myself through recording this podcast, and also through making YouTube videos in the past and now, is that I believe with my neurodivergency, when I press record, whether it's on the camera, whether it's with a mic, I tend to freeze and to stutter my thoughts and feelings, and I'm not able to share so clearly the points that I really want to share, or at least from my own perspective, my own assumptions of how I want to show up and how I'm sharing my voice and my image. And because of this, I have been scripting my episodes in my own voice and then kind of revising them, but I have been scripting them in a way that helps me to flow and get all my points across and share the things that I find valuable and that are, I feel, more impactful for the listener and still true and authentic to me. But because they are scripted and I'm reading them, I do feel that it loses a little bit of authenticity and maybe in the moment spontaneity of who I am and showcasing who I am truly to you all. Even sharing this is pretty fucking vulnerable, to be honest, and kind of hard, but I want to be transparent. And not that I feel like I wasn't showing up truly myself, but I feel now with this shift and with, I don't know what, this intuition that has come up, that I need to be making this change and showing up differently, which in that sense I'm feeling good about. And even though being this honest and vulnerable is hard, and doing it in this way that is very public is hard. And I'm definitely facing my fear in sharing it in this way. I do feel like it is the right decision and it is the right move for me at this time to be shifting into this new version and evolving into this new version of myself and showing up here pretty totally raw. Pretty much me, super authentically and with all my mistakes. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm not going to edit this a little bit, because there are pauses, and even 2 seconds ago I was trying to get my dog to stop licking his paw, so those parts are going to get edited out. But it just means that I'm going to be changing the way I do things, and yeah, this is going to sound a little bit different. The podcast is going to sound different. I'm going to sound different. I'm not going to be maybe as polished. There might not be as many direct points that I'm going to touch on, because I'm going to be riffing a little bit more, and I'm going to be just sharing from my heart and what I feel I need to say in the moment. You're going to hear me processing as I'm sharing at the same time. So it's not going to be as quick sometimes. It's not going to be as flowy, but it will be 100% me, with all my flaws and rawness and little quirks that maybe you didn't really hear before, but you're definitely going to hear them now. And I hope that as I evolve and as I share more of myself, you can feel me through hearing me talk and feel like you can connect with someone that is real on the other side of your headphones or speakers. I actually had a friend who listened to the podcast, I think one of my first few episodes, mentioned to me that I sounded different on the pod. It really made me contemplate what he meant by that, made me question things about myself as well. I kind of asked myself, how well does he really know me? Made me question, how do I actually sound to other people in my real life versus how do I sound on the pod? Because I hear myself, but it's hard to analyze how other people perceive you, of course. It made me question if I actually seem like the person that he knows when he's listening to me on the pod. Like if I'm actually being myself, I guess. To be honest, it made me really think about my authenticity and made me question my authenticity. And obviously, as a new podcaster, that is kind of scary to be like, oh, you know, hearing somebody be like, oh, you sound different. Kind of like you don't sound the same as you normally do. I mean, I'm not ashamed that I scripted, because that was what I needed at the time. And that's what I felt would help me to put these episodes out there and to be able to share the things that I wanted to share in the way that I wanted to share them. And that's totally cool. Like, that was what was good for me. And now things have changed. And even my own expectations of myself have changed, because at the time I just wanted to be able to put out episodes consistently every week. But now, the more that I'm sharing, the more that I'm putting out episodes, the shift is I want to show up as my most authentic self as often as I can. Ultimately, every time. So even though at the time that was kind of difficult to hear, it was a good reflection, I think, and maybe a future, what do you call that when, not anticipation, but like a projection of maybe things that I would be questioning about myself now, 3 months into doing this and sharing these episodes. So it was kind of a glimpse into the future. I appreciate being able to look back and be like, oh yeah, that I don't feel like I wasn't being authentic, but am I being more authentic now? Yeah, for sure. And can I be even more authentic than I am right now? Maybe. We'll see in another 3 months. I don't know. In these last few months, I've kind of been trying to put themes together with the things that I've wanted to talk about. This change and shift actually really aligns with this month's themes, which are about activation and clarity. May was about the unraveling, right? It was about getting out of the areas that we're struggling with and shedding it and kind of starting the changes that we're looking to do. Because a lot of us do know the things that we maybe need to shift or change, and the hard part is actually making the changes, right? Actually stepping into those things and facing those fears and struggles. And definitely with the last week of May, this shift really played a role in the unraveling of my perspective of myself and who I am wanting to become and who I'm wanting to show up as in June. And June is what comes after the unraveling. The activation, the clarity comes after the unraveling when we acknowledge the things that we need to change and are able to then take action and shift our mentality and, create new habits to get us even closer to that version of ourselves that we're aspiring to be, or at least that I'm definitely aspiring to be. So in this case, with facing my fears and doing this shift, it was really about listening to my intuition, feeling confident that what I'm doing and how I'm acting is what I'm meant to be doing and is the way that I'm feeling I want to be acting right now, right? I'm listening to my gut, my heart, my intuition is telling me like, hey, like this little flag went up that was like, hey, you got to pay attention to this. You've been thinking about it. It's been a seed was planted, let's say. Now that seed has blossomed and has grown into a thought and a feeling that was like, okay, time to take this seed and prune it. Take this plant now. We got to prune it. We got to take away the things that are keeping it stagnant, keeping it small, and let's help it to flourish. We're 6 months in through the year now, which is wild. It's the halfway point, right? Which is so aligned. I mean, to think about it, and even for myself in the shift, it's like, okay, now with June being the activation and the clarity, it is the time to reflect, look back and be like, okay, 6 months have passed. What has been moving? What has been shifting? What has been unraveling? Now let's take some action. It's interesting. The things that have come up are literally aligned with the timing of this podcast, this episode, and this year, and moving into, the halfway point of the year, which is also the best time to decide how you want to move forward with the rest of the year. And not thinking about it as in like pressure, oh my gosh, like you need to figure your shit out and now we got to do this, blah, 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 blah. It's not just action and like pressure. I do think resets and reflecting are super important in general, but kind of in the midway point of the year, it is helpful to do a little check-in, right? But not with pressure, because that pressure doesn't help. I think pressure is good for certain things, but I think in the time of reflection and then getting ready to take action, you don't want pressure, you want clarity, right? So no pressure, but presence in yourself, in your clarity, in your plans, which then create power. The feeling of empowerment and moving forward with intention. So this week, we're kind of chatting about all these things, kind of the start of the activation, the clarity, the movement into this fiery month, this halfway point. And I'm starting off talking about expectations. And I think as creatives, we have a lot of expectations. And I think we also perceive that others have expectations of us as well. And we can get kind of caught up on either side of those expectations. I am one of those people. I've struggled many times holding myself up to high expectations. Not perfectionism necessarily all the time, but I do expect high performance, I would say, more so, and high production. The ability to produce work consistently or a lot, and the quality being there. Yeah, it's just been a pressure that I've put on myself, but also that I think that others are expecting of me as well. Once you put yourself out there in any area, could be art, could be your writing, anything creative, any way that you're showing up and putting yourself out there in the world, it does create a sense that others are going to continue to expect for you to put more work out there, right? Like you're sharing for a reason. So people are going to expect things of you. Expect consistency, expect quality. And then you also, on top of that, have those pressures yourself of how high a quality, how much consistency, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it really does affect quite a large area of your life, especially if you're being creative and doing a lot of creative things and putting it out there in large quantities. I feel like the more that you put out, the more this buildup of expectation can continue if it's not checked on. Even this past week with the whole scripting thing, that expectation of what I think others are going to think if I share this, if I'm being vulnerable, are they going to think I wasn't authentic before? A whole number of things have gone through my head. At the end of the day, yes, those things could have gone through your mind. Those things went through my mind. And now we're here and I'm recording. So even through those expectations and those feelings, I'm still going to push past it and do my best. I think that that's kind of the point, to be able to look at the expectations and face them, but also acknowledge that they're there, right? Acknowledge the things that are causing the tension. And I feel like for a lot of you, you could know, or maybe you don't know, signs of what living with expectations looks like or feels like, because it is different and it does show up different for everyone. But it is important to kind of, clock those things. So these are some of the stuff that have come up for me, and maybe there are things that you can check on yourself as well. So when I'm living from a place of expectation and this pressure has kind of continued without me checking on them, they usually show up as feelings of frustration in different areas, feeling fatigued, and with that can slowly come burnout because you're just pushing yourself and you're not checking in. Resentment, because now your expectations are so freaking high of yourself, but also because you're feeling others are expecting things of you and now you're resentful, right? Avoidance, and now you're just like, well, fuck it. I don't even want to do any of this work because the pressure is too much. And all of these things just suck. Like they just are draining and can eventually suck the creativity, the fun aspects of sharing your work. So it is important, and maybe more so even now that we're kind of in this halfway point of the year and we're ready to like take on the next half of the year, to reflect on those things. But I think most importantly, once we know what these things are, right? How do we counteract those feelings? And what I did was look inwards. I do that pretty consistently all the time. I am a processor and contemplator. I do think a lot. And I think that has helped me to process things and reflect continually, but sometimes it's just so much I'm just continually in my head, right? Which sometimes doesn't help when you're already having these other feelings on top of that. So typically when I'm starting to get, some of those signs show up, I pause and reflect. I just take a break. Try to do some grounding things, whether that's just like movement, journaling, walking my dogs, being outside, getting some sunshine, whatever those things are for you. I would say pause the work stuff and get grounded, and then find meaning behind why you're doing what you're doing. Why is it that you're doing this work, creating this art, or even showing up in this way? It could even be relational. Why are you in these relationships or have this connection with people? Right? Why are you doing the things you're doing? What's the meaning behind it? Because that's what I asked myself with this whole podcast thing. Because the reason I started it was to, share my thoughts and feelings on creativity and personal growth, but it was also to express myself, to be able to share authentically and show up like my truest self while doing those other things. So I think getting clear on the why you're doing something really brings you back into that grounding state of your creative journey and your process as to why you're doing what you're doing. And I think, clocking what those things are that are holding you back and why helps to know, okay, this is the tension point. So now I know what I need to do to pivot or to shift my mentality, to change some habits, to adjust myself, my situation, in order to get to the next phase. And ultimately, follow your gut or your feelings or your thought process, whatever that looks like for you. For me, it's my gut, my intuition, my feelings. I have a lot of feelings, as you can tell. But maybe for you, it's not so much feelings. It's more your thoughts and the clarity that comes from thinking things through and taking time to plan it out or to analyze. And whatever that looks like for you, I think is what will help you to come back to that in the future and know, okay, I'm getting at that place again where, I'm feeling this tension again. What did I do last time? Oh, I thought it through. I took a pause, I reflected, I grounded, and now I'm ready to process this thought and see what I can do to move forward. Or I have this gut feeling that things need to shift. Okay, like that's what I did last time. Now I'm going to do that again. And how did I move through that? And then that's moving with intention. That's dealing with the expectations and helping to shift into intentional movement, intentional work. And I think that that's so important to create that shift whenever you can, as often as possible. We are evolving beings. That is who we are, and that is what we do naturally. So if we can continually be reflecting and checking in and analyzing and feeling into those tension points and then moving with intention forward, I mean, that's freaking brilliant. After shifting into intention, I've kind of touched on it already, it automatically leads into action and movement. It's just natural. It's a flowing state. We just automatically move into the action, the next step. And that's the part that I live for. I live to take action. I am very action forward. I'm a very driven person. I like when I can see the tension, face it, or analyze it, and see how I feel about it, and then find aligned ways to move past the tension point. That for me is just the juiciest part, I think, of life and of learning and growing. Because without the movement, you're just continually analyzing and trying to process the same things over and over again. There is no forward motion. And it's not to say that, like, staying in that space is bad. You can stay in that space for as long as you need. For me personally, I need to move. I need to move forward because I have so many things that I want to achieve and so many things that I want to get to, that if I can learn and evolve quickly and adjust myself as quickly as possible to then take action, to then move forward, I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, let's go. Let's do this thing, because I don't want to be in the contemplating and processing space forever. That space for me personally actually causes more stagnation. I need to be moving. But that's me. That's my personality. That's not for everyone. And that's totally okay and 100% normal. But I think at a certain point, and you'll know when, I think everyone kind of knows when you're like, okay, yeah, I need to make some changes. Yep, I've been talking about this. Yep, I want to do this thing. Yep, I know I've been thinking about that. I've told my friends and family that there's going to be some changes happening, and I haven't taken action yet, but like, it's coming. So when you're kind of in that state and you're like repeating yourself, because I've been there too, that it's time. It's time to move. It's time to shift. It's the hard part. The action definitely is the fucking hardest part. It's the hardest part. But once you start and once you learn to do it often, it does become easier. The facing the fear part doesn't become easier. That part sucks balls. But the actual action taking part is easier and becomes more of a flow. It's like, okay, tension point. I'm at this place. It's hard. There's tension. I need to sit in this. I need to feel this. I need to process this. okay, what's next? Now I know I need to do this in order to get out of it. Now there's action. And there's just like this ebb and flow of that process. I mean, I've talked about kind of this action aspect and taking action and movement so much on this podcast, like quite a few times, because for me it is the pivotal point in getting to where you want. Without action, you actually are just in that stagnant place, in that limbo place of waiting to take action. Again, not that it's a bad thing. It's just that is a factual thing. That is where you are. So when you're ready, when you know that you're already ready, for those of you that know, you know that it's about time to actually take that step, to take action. And that's why I talk about it all the time. I don't think I'll ever stop talking about it because it's the thing that's made the most difference in my life. And even though I am the kind of person that likes to take action, it's not always easy, but it has been the most life-changing for me. Yesterday I saw a TikTok in passing, one of those scrolling moments. They come and go. And I don't remember the whole video. It wasn't very long. The person in the video was talking about moving 3%. And that really captured me. It got me right from that point when he gave that percentage number. I'm going to share what I got out of it, because I don't know if that was totally his point. But for me, what he mentioned and kind of what I took from it was, if every day I could move 3% towards my goals, my projects, my personal growth, it's only going to get me closer to the person that I'm becoming, that I want to become, that version of myself, right? It's not a huge number. It's not a big movement. It's only 3%. But it's something. If you move 3% in whatever area, whatever your goals or areas that you are working towards, every day, that's accumulative over time. You're making drastic changes. It's like, I'm sure a lot of people have said this before, but I don't know, for some reason it just hit so hard that I was like, oh my God, that's so clear. Why haven't I, processed this more? But sometimes things hit you just in the time that you need to hear them. I'm not a numbers person. I'm not the best with numbers. Numbers don't really click for me usually, but being able to quantify how much work it actually takes you to make a difference in your life and put a number to it, put a percentage, is so genius. It's so good. I don't know how to express it better than what I'm doing right now, but the 3% was just so clear, and I just wanted to share it because it's really not a lot of work that needs to go into it. But over time, if you do it every day, it's a magnitude of evolving in your work, in your personal growth, in your projects. And that movement forward, even though it's so small, to me just sounds ideal. And it's actually the way that I've been moving in these past few months. And it kind of just aligned and solidified what I've already been doing and how that actually has helped so much to do the amount of work that I've done, be consistent, for it to be sustainable for me and enjoyable, because I don't want to be stuck in the feelings of expectation, which I have been in the past when I've had work and been doing, large quantities of work and production. And this time around, even though I feel probably just as busy or more than I was in the past, doing this kind of concept, I guess, naturally, I just did it this time. The 3% that I'm doing a little bit every day in different areas has been life-changing and just so beneficial to sustaining my mental health, my physical health, my relationships, and my work, my creative work. Yeah, I was just kind of so blown away by this simple concept. It has helped me to be this person that now doesn't just talk about having a podcast one day. I have a fucking podcast now. I am creating bodies of work and still working a full-time job and, keeping balanced my relationships and my physical health, whatever else, and then it's just so cool. It's just really fascinating and amazing to me that that's what I've been able to do and sustain, and I just wish all of that for all of you. It's not always easy, though. I don't want to make it sound like, well, this is such a magical time. This is so like chill and like amazing, because it's it's not always easy, for sure, because it's not. But it's so fucking worth it at the end. And not even at the end, and during the process. When you're getting to those other sides, right? When you're being able to move forward and make that movement, those changes, it's so worth it. And it's not about showing up perfect, because that's not real. Perfection is not real, and it's totally subjective. So there's not a lot of control there ultimately once you put your work out there. But it is honest, and it's aligned, and it's a powerful place to be if you can move into that. And I hope that this month, through this shift for me and maybe for you, in creating a shift of alignment and movement towards the goals and things that you're wanting to achieve and the person you're wanting to become, can be something we can do together, because clearly this is a journey for me too, as you've heard. I'm also experiencing these things that I'm sharing about. It's not just like from a place of, oh, been there, done that, like, you got to learn from me or something, because it's not. This is a journey for all of us. We're just all on different paths and different aspects of our journey. And I'm just sharing the things that I've done and the things that I'm experiencing and have experienced in order to help me process and move forward in my journey, but also to be here to talk about these things and be a soundboard for you as well, to share the things that you're doing that are helping you, your experiences that have helped you as a creative, as an entrepreneur, as someone that's going through personal growth, like that's what we're meant to share, I feel, as a collective. And that's ultimately the things that I want from listening to other podcasts as well. So I hope that this was encouraging, that you are feeling seen or heard in your journey and in your process. I'm feeling super inspired and just ecstatic that I actually am recording this without a script and just bullet points, because I've taken that 3% today. This this was my 3% today. And I'm just so stoked for that. And I want to ask you, are you ready to start doing the same today? Are you ready to start taking that 3% and moving towards those goals and those dreams that you're trying to achieve? I want to thank you all for listening. I hope that you have an amazing day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Keep creating. Bye.